Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host, and today we have a great guest, Mr. Max Good. He is the keeper of the flame, and he is in charge of doing all the reviews on smokers and grills for AmazingRibs.com website. He's been there for a while, so let's welcome Max Good from AmazingRibs.com.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Hey all, before we get on to the show, I want to talk to you for a second about Instacart. Instacart's a great service that allows you to do all your grocery shopping online, and they can get you your groceries in as fast as 1 hour. They connect you with personal shoppers in your area that know your markets, and they can get them from your favorite stores. They find all the great buys and smart suggestions for you online, save you money. They pick the freshest produce, and they check your eggs and make sure they're not cracked. Check them out, guys. Instacart is offering free delivery on your first order of over $35 in the link below. Check them out, and now on to the show. Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host, and today I got a really special guest. I have Mr. Max Good from AmazingRibs.com. He does all the barbecue product reviews for Amazing Ribs. He's been there for a little while. Welcome, Max. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from and all that.
Hey, thank you, Darren. Thanks for inviting me on your show. Well, I am Max Good, Director of Equipment Reviews and Keeper of the Flame at AmazingRibs.com. And actually, to be clear, I review the grills and smokers. We have other folks to do thermometers and accessories and what have you, although I occasionally dip my hand into that, and some of them dip their hands into the grills and smoker reviews as well. I'm in the Chicago area, as is Meathead, and I have a background, of course, in cooking and barbecue. In fact, the way I got together with Meathead was that I started a barbecue sauce company called Black Swan Gourmet Barbecue Sauce in limited availability. But I guess we're going to talk about that later, right, Darren? But I subsequently, because I have a background also in the visual and audio arts, music, film, video, I actually edited a film that was nominated for an Academy Award, Darren. What do you think of that?
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So at any rate, when I started my barbecue sauce company, some of my film and video friends said, hey, I mean, this was a while back, 2003, I think it was. They said, there's all these barbecue TV shows. You should have a barbecue TV show, Max. And I said, well, dag nabbit, you're right, I should. But what kind of show would I have? Well, I'm not really a chef. I don't have a restaurant. I don't want to stand in front of a camera and do recipes. I know what. I'll do something about the history of barbecue, the techniques, myth busting, hit it from different angles, the cultures, worldwide, global. And I wrote something up and I got it in the hands of the folks at WTTW, one of the biggest PBS stations in the country. They're right here in Chicago. And they called me and said, well, we're interested in this, So I start looking into it further. And what's the first thing I see? AmazingRibs.com. And I slap my head. I go, oh no, this guy's already got a website that's exactly like what my concept is for the show. So I reached out to Meathead and we got together and we stayed in touch. And to cut to the next part of the story, my show never got made. And when I met him, AmazingRibs.com was just starting. It was nothing like what it is today. So though my show didn't get made, he one day called me and said, hey, AmazingRibs.com has really taken off. I could use some help. Do you want to do reviews? And I went, huh? I've never done that before. And he goes, oh, you could do it. And that was the beginning of me and Meathead.
So how long ago was that you actually agreed to be a part of AmazingRibs.com?
7, 8 years ago, somewhere in there. Time flies when you're having fun, Darren.
Oh, I know. Believe me. So yeah, so that's pretty interesting that you came up with the concept that Meathead stole from you. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
tell him that.
I didn't want to make it sound that way. But I was shocked. I mean, literally, it was like, oh, I have this great idea, and I go, wait a minute, it's already kind of taken.
Well, great minds think alike,
There
right?
you go.
So right now, your primary role is to just make sure you get reviews on the newer smokers and grills out there. Like you said, you do some occasional accessories, but usually that's other people that do that. So that's your primary goal, is to check them out. Go do a hood and trunk, as they say in the car business. You go over them with a fine tooth comb, and I notice you also make some videos on it as well. So
Yeah, those are
how
all
do,
virtual showroom videos, and they're just meant to be like, I'm your eyes and ears and hands. When I get something, I just run around it with a little camcorder. Here's what it looks like inside. Here it is outside. Here's the burners. That type of thing. And then if people want to really know more about it, are directed to our website where they will get to read the full detailed review.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because you're giving them just enough to be interested in it, and if they are, interested more, they can get a lot more detail by going to the website. Plus, it gets them from YouTube or wherever they may see the video, Facebook or what have you, and then it gets them wrapped up into Amazing Ribs, and then they can join the Pitmaster Club, which I always recommend. So.
Well, I thank you, and that is a good idea. Anybody listening here, definitely go to AmazingRibs.com, and you'll pretty easily see information about our Pitmaster Club. I think in the upper right corner of the screen on a desktop or laptop. It's click here to find out why you should be in the Pitmaster Club, and if you love barbecue, I'm sure you would love being a club member. It's only like $25 a year, less than that. And we have a trial membership. So check it out, all who hear my words.
So yeah, definitely, it's well worth it. All the information on Amazing Ribs, most of it's free. You don't have to pay for it. But the Pitmaster Club just gives you that extra added interaction with some of the people that run AmazingRibs.com, and also members there. Other members there have a lot of experience. So
oh yeah, we have 16,000 members and growing, and it's a lot of fun. And many people, if they have the same grill or smoker or the same interests, they get to be chums online. Some of them even, hey, you don't live too far from me. They get together and become pals. So it's a neat thing. But yeah, I do want to emphasize, as you did, AmazingRibs.com is a free website. So it's a good place to start. Doesn't cost you a dime. Come and check us out. If you like to barbecue, I think you'll like what you see.
Well, and I use the Pitmaster Club a lot for if I'm looking at maybe purchasing another grill after I do the review, look at the review, go to get some real life, people that have had the grill, used the grill for a while, as far as durability and stuff goes.
Great idea. Very good idea. And, the people who are club members they're passionate. So you will have no problem getting their 2 cents, from anybody that has the particular product you're interested in.
It's definitely a great resource. Highly recommend checking out AmazingRibs.com, Pitmaster Club. But also, I want to talk about the meetup in Memphis that they're having. The big event. It's going to be in 2020. I think August of 2020. Correct?
Yes, it is July 31st to August 2nd, 2020, and limited to 400 people. You have to be a club member. And it's going to be a blast. Forbes magazine calls it the ultimate barbecue lovers road trip event of 2020. So definitely check it out.
I'm trying to see if I can work my schedule. I've got a couple other things I have to do that summer, but I'm trying to see if I can squeeze this in as well. But I'd really love to be able to, hang out with a bunch of like-minded barbecue folks, especially in Memphis. I've never personally been to Memphis and experienced any of the barbecue restaurants there or any of the culture there. So I really would look forward to doing this. But like everything, I always got to make sure I got everything in my schedule lined up, and I got to get with the wife and all that. So you know how that goes.
Okay.
But
Yeah, but it is going to be fun, and we have a pretty cool itinerary planned. Uh, Champion barbecue pitmaster Mark Lambert's going to do a whole hog demonstration for us. It's all pork all day there. I guess that's a regional thing in Memphis. It's a pork country there, so we're going to do a lot of interesting stuff with involving pork and get around going to the Rendezvous restaurant, the famous Rendezvous, among other places. And we're staying at the historic Peabody Hotel. They're giving heavy discounts to folks attending the show, and it's a pretty cool place. I haven't been there either, but I'm looking into it, and it's a beautiful old place with a lot of history, and it's right by Beale Street. And I'm a music guy, Darren, so you can bet I'll be snooping around and checking out what I can find. If we get a chance, I, of course, have to go to Graceland, although it looks pretty touristy, but we'll see. I can squeeze it in.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd really like to go and do a little tourist stuff too. You got to, right? You're only there, if you haven't never been, you got to check it out. So let's get into the different kinds of grills and smokers you've seen over the years. Since you've been there 7 or 8 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of different smokers and grills come through, and you've tested them out and put your mark on them, put your rating on them. So let's talk about the different types that you reviewed over the years. What'd you start out with? What was the first grill that you did a review on for AmazingRibs.com?
Well, that's funny. I can't think. For right off the bat, there was a lot of stuff that Meathead had that he wanted to be whipped into shape with more photographs and more detail. So I think as I recall, I started out not actually testing as many things as just kind of researching stuff and going over very brief. Sometimes they're just a couple sentences he had banged out about particular grills or smokers, and I just fleshed them out by doing research. But I can't recall the first ones. I started getting my hands on them pretty quick. But I honestly, at this point, I don't remember the very first one or two. But over the years, of course, I've grilled and smoked on a whole lot of different stuff. The biggest areas that we've seen change are in the smokers, the Kamados, and the pellet smokers in particular. They're really just exploding in popularity. And of course, the big news right now that we're going to be learning more about, that everyone's excited about, is Weber's introduction into the pellet smoker market. They're supposed to be rolling out 2 models the beginning of next year.
Now, did he make you go back and stuff that I know it's really easy when something new comes out to grab a hold of it and review it because nobody's seen it before, but did he make you go back and say just do a regular Weber kettle?
Oh yeah. And that's important stuff too. We might take it for granted. But somebody who's just getting started, or maybe somebody who's only cooked on gas and now they're curious and they are interested in charcoal or wood or what have you, and not only do you have my reviews of a particular product, but let's say for charcoal, well, I'm interested in charcoal. I've been cooking on gas all this time. I'm getting into this more and more. Wow, Amazing Ribs has all these great recipes. I'd like to know more about charcoal. Well, we have a lot of articles. We have an article about how charcoal is made in the different types, lump versus briquettes. We have detailed information about different techniques, how you can basically turn a Weber kettle or a decent kettle into a pretty dang good smoker. There are all these gizmos too that one can purchase to soup up whatever they got. I'm thinking right off the top of my head, if you have a kettle or any kind of, it has to be a round one. I'm thinking of the Slow and Sear, which is a half moon shaped device that really turns a round kettle into an excellent smoker. But you don't even need anything additional with a decent Weber kettle or anything of that quality. Like Napoleon makes some really good round charcoal grills as well. But all that information's at AmazingRibs.com. So whatever you're interested in, you can pretty much just go to a search field or go to our table of contents and probably going to find something about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Amazing Ribs. It's your one-stop information, portal pretty much for anything barbecue, grilling, outdoor cooking. And even now with the sous vide queue, I had a great podcast episode with the Meathead. He was one of the first ones that embraced it. A lot of the traditional barbecue guys, it's like anything, they poo-poo anything that changes the traditional stuff, stuff they learned from their dads or
Well, yeah,
must
when I first started up with him, the big axe that we were grinding was digital thermometers. We're trying to tell people you have to have them. You can't. If you're a real chef and you cook 50 steaks a day for 15 years, yeah, you can poke them and you probably have a pretty good idea. But most people don't have that experience, and even the competition guys, you're not going to see very many people that are serious competitors that don't use digital thermometers. So, but we constantly had people saying, "Oh, cooking is an art, not a science." And I remember one time Mead had said, "Well, somebody ought to tell everybody at the Texas A&M that are getting out these degrees in food science that they're wasting their time." You really need to, it's a craft, really, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of art and science, really.
Yeah,
you need to.
But here's what I'm getting at is you need to learn the nuts and bolts of the craft before you can become an artist with it. If you don't have your techniques down, it's hard to do anything meaningful. Before I met Meathead, I was considered by my friends and family like, "Oh man, you're the best. You're the king of the backyard. You're the greatest barbecue." Oh man. And looking back, I'm like, God, I didn't know anything. I've learned so much over the last several years, and now I truly do feel like I'm not so bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if you have the attitude that you're always learning, which I do, I'm never going to call myself an expert, but I'm an expert at trying to learn new things. And if you don't understand how the processes work or even interested in them, which a lot of guys aren't, they just, I just know because somebody told me I cook it at 225 for 16 hours and then it's done, but me, and like you and Meathead, we get interested in why. And that's one of the reasons I love AmazingRibs.com is because of that. Because I can, why does this work, or why doesn't this work, or why shouldn't I soak my wood chips before I throw them out?
Yeah.
Because people still will go, yeah, I soak my wood chips, and it's like, and like Meathead says, wood floats. Come on.
Yeah, well, and if you stop and think about it, and of course Meathead has gone into great detail about that amongst a million other topics, but really. So yeah, it doesn't, you could soak wood chips overnight, weigh them. Let's say you have like a pound of wood chips, soak them overnight, take them out, put them in a strainer. Maybe you've gained an ounce or something, and that's just the water that's still clinging to the surface of the chips. So all that's going to happen is you're going to throw this wet wood chips on your fire, and it's going to drop the temperature, and you're going to get a bunch of steam. And by the time your fire has recovered, you burned up most of the wood anyway. It's it's just one of those things that some people still will carry it to their graves, I guess. And it's not the worst thing that could happen in the world, but that's the type of stuff. If you're really curious, if you are a curious person, if you won't, like you and I, always learning, the day you stop learning, you start dying, right, Darren? So we're always learning.
Exactly.
We're students in life, students in barbecue. And if people that want to know more, we try to give them meaningful information that's fact-based, not just, I was down in Texas and there's this guy by the side of the road that has a beat-up old smoker, and I'm telling you, that was the best barbecue I ever had, and he told me that he does it like this. Well, okay, maybe that worked to some degree, but for people to apply it coast to coast, north and south, with the equipment they have, anecdotes don't always cut it. You want to be able to look at basics. And again, where you talk about the craft of different types of grilling and smoking, to understand why. And once you start to understand some concepts, you can apply them to different situations, and then you can experiment. Then you can become an artist. Like, hey, wait a minute. I've been making whatever like this, but I wonder what would happen if I tried something else. And now I know enough about it that I'm not just spitting in the wind, like, I mean, yeah, that
Right.
actually sounds interesting based on everything I know, that I'm going to try this. And, you might come up with something great. If you do, let us know. We'll steal your recipe.
Exactly. And one of the great conversations I had with Harry Sue, one of the barbecue champions that's been around a while, is that, and Meatheads agrees with me too. It's not the equipment, so, a lot of times barbecue guys will look at barbecue like we do everything else, like golf, where the equipment's going to put me over the edge. If I get that right driver, I'm going to be able to hit it, 350 yards, or, if I get the right smoker, I'm going to be able to make the perfect pork butt. But, Harry Sue won countless competitions around the country on a Weber Smoky Mountain,
Oh yeah. Yeah. He pulls up in a station wagon with about, I think he usually has 2 or 3 of them, and he just, collects his awards and goes home. It's amazing.
So that's another thing, I know that you have to review these, but it's not the equipment that's going to put you over the edge most of the time. It's just more, the grills and the smokers are just, if they make it more convenient for you, or they have certain options that make it easier for you to do certain things, but it's not going to guarantee you a perfect anything. And a lot of these grill companies always have to throw that into their marketing. You're going to have the moistest meats and the perfect smoked and then blah, 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 if you buy this grill. But like you said, with the example of the guy on the side of the road, you can have the best barbecue on a half of a 50 gallon drum cut in half. And, some guy just made it in his backyard. So.
Well, there's a lot of different factors that come into play. Good equipment is important. Weber Smoky Mountains that Harry Sue uses, they're not extremely expensive, but there's, for what they are, they're some of the best that are out there. They're bullet smokers, water smokers. But a lot in what I do reviewing the grills and smokers, there's oftentimes people will say, "Oh, this is just so expensive," and I don't need it. I can. I remember one guy said, I reviewed. I forget what model it was. It was an upright barrel smoker, as I recall. And the guy goes, "Well, I could make something like that, because they're ugly drum smokers. People didn't used to sell them. You basically did have to make them. You'd buy a 55-gallon drum." And cut some holes in it and put it together, and make a ugly drum smoker out of it. Now people are selling them. So I reviewed one, and I said, it's really good. It's sort of well thought out. Well, that costs, because I could buy a barrel for $50. I forget what the guy said, something like, for very little money and with very little skill, I could make one. And I said, well, I wrote back to him because he's being kind of a trollish with me, They said, well, no money and no skill, does the term "you get what you paid for" mean anything to you? Here you got people that are award-winning competitors designing these things and putting them together and selling them. There's some value into the little design features. Small things sometimes can make a difference. It depends on how far you want to go. Yes, theoretically, you can get some kind of metallic object and put fire in it and put grates over it and cook on it. Obviously, beyond that, to get the best results for whatever it is you're trying to cook. Having good equipment, doesn't have to be the best, but good equipment is an asset.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I represent, a couple different smokers in some of my videos and stuff. And, I had, Kamado Joe or, whatever, a Camp Chef. And people always go, oh, well, that's more expensive than the one that I have, which only costs this much, is less, and it does the same thing. It's like the whole concept is, yeah, you can buy a Kia to get to work, but there's also a market for people who want a Mercedes or a pickup truck. They do the same thing. They'll get you there, but they have different options and different, accessories and things that the way they do it. I mean, it's not that you can cook something, the same way. I mean, it's you're going to make your job a lot easier, or it fits your cooking style better. I mean, there's always a customer out there for different types of equipment. You may not be that customer, if you're happy cooking on a old 50-gallon barrel yourself that you cut in half in your backyard, that's great. But there's going to be lots of people that will buy that more expensive product out there. Definitely. So,
well, whenever you got to live fire, if you have a charcoal grill or a stick burner smoker, good construction goes a long way. It is important, and I know people. This happened to me. The first smoker I got was a real piece of junk that I just got at Home Depot for $150. And yeah, like I said earlier, my friends and family, wow, this is great. They're very excited just to have anything that tasted smoky. I can't believe that Max was making this in his backyard. I thought I could only get this at a restaurant, And I'm thinking, well, I guess sometimes it comes out pretty good, but I just instinctively knew, that it wasn't all that great. And when I started up with Meathead and started getting my hands on a lot of good and bad equipment, then I really saw what good equipment can do for you. It just makes it easier. It makes it easier to get the best results you can get. And yeah, if you don't have $10,000 for a big rig, that's fine. You could spend, way less than that, but you probably don't want to. We always tell people steer clear of those cheap offset stick burners, like the one I started with, because they just leak like a sieve. If you don't have air control, it's really tough. I always say once I got a hold of a good smoker, I felt like a runner who had been running with lead shoes, and suddenly somebody gave me some Nikes. It's just so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. And like I said, there's a customer for every product out there, and just because you're not that customer and you like doing, but there's reasons why something may be more expensive than the other thing. One of the things that I'm looking at getting right now is something I was just looking at one of your reviews last night on the PK grill, because I'm getting ready to move. I had a Big Joe, Kamado Joe, and the house I'm moving to has got a smaller patio, and I've got a regular Kamado Joe. So I said, I really don't need the big smoker anymore, the big Kamado anymore. So I want something that maybe I could, carry around with me, take to the park, throw in the back of the car. And, I've looked at the PK grills before, and, I think, something like that, it's something that it can, I can take it wherever I want. It uses charcoal. It's got all the right things. I can use it as a smoker, as a grill, what have you. So.
Oh yeah, and they call it portable kitchen for a reason. They have several models now. The original one, I think that's around $300-400. I don't know. They got the PK 360, which is really neat, and that's more around $800. But all of them are portable. And one of the things we really like about them is the rectangular design and the dual air intake and exhaust dampers and corresponding placement. They have intake dampers on the bottom on each side, left and right, and then exhaust dampers on the top of the lid, each side, left and right. And what you can do is you can set up a fire on one side, open up the intake damper on that side, and close down the exhaust damper on that side, and then switch it on the other side. So on the opposite side, you got the intake damper on the bottom closed and the exhaust damper open, and it creates a cross current of heat and smoke. So you have your indirect zone on the side on the side where the damper is open on the top, away from the fire. That's your indirect zone. And talk about, there's products that might be more expensive, and they're not for everybody, but there are people that will spend the money. I'm thinking of Kalamazoo's new Shokunin Kamado, which I actually was testing just a few days ago. And this is $6,000, Darren, as opposed to even the PK360, which is about $800. But it has the similar venting system. And I was with the designer, and I said, "This reminds me of the PK." And he said, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I am familiar with it." But he said, "Honestly, I wasn't thinking that. But I guess all I can say is I agree with them that I like this configuration. That's why we used it for our Shokunin." When we get into, we call those luxury products. Those aren't for. Not many people are going to spend $6,000 on any kind of outdoor cooking device. Oftentimes when we get into any kind of a conversation online or wherever about the luxury equipment, then you really get people up in arms like, "Oh, that's crazy. My car costs less than some of that stuff." And I can only say, look, the people who buy it are rich, that's plain and simple. They don't shop at Walmart. If a guy says, "Hey, I'm going to go out and get a pair of shoes," he goes to some fancy schmancy place and, "Oh yeah, okay, those fit right. I'll take them. All right, that's $1,000. Great, thank you. See you next month," or whatever. That's these price tags that make us faint don't faze them.
That's like the Komodo or the Komodo Kamados.
Those are gorgeous too. Again, it's for a lot of it's. I think people that want to own that kind of stuff really want something different. They want to be able to say, "Look what I got." I'm rich. I'm driving a Ferrari, and you're not. I'm wearing $1,000 shoes, and you aren't. And I have a $30,000 grill on my $5 million home, and so there. Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to put a Weber kettle on a million, couple $1 million house.
I'm not saying, like this guy from Kalamazoo said, he was talking to one of their sales guys, and their sales guy was going, just touting the construction. "This thing will last forever. You'll pass it down to another generation." And the guy I was with was saying, "Don't say that to people. They don't care about that. That's not why we make these the way we do. If we're trying to make the absolute best products around, and that's what justifies our prices. The guy that you're trying to sell them to, like, this is going to last your lifetime, for the amount of money they would spend buying one of our grills, they could buy a top of the line Weber grill, a new one every few years, and they'd probably end up might even spending less than if they bought one of ours. So you don't want to sell them on something like that. You want to sell them on, this is just a fantastic grill, and they are. But again, I've never driven a Ferrari or a $500,000 car. I'm sure they're fantastic. I'm sure they're wonderful, but I can't even think about buying something like that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break here so I can run an ad, so I can keep the lights on here. But I'll be right back with Mr. Max Good from AmazingRibs.com. So stay with me here, and I'll be right back. Hey, y'all, it's Darren, and today I want to talk about the Inkbird Wi-Fi Rainproof 4 Pro barbecue thermometer that's brand new. The IBB Q4T has a rechargeable battery that can last up to 26 hours once it's fully charged, and you can monitor from pretty much anywhere with the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi that it uses. It comes with the brand new Inkbird Pro app that you can monitor your meat and the temperature of the grill from pretty much anywhere, from your house, anywhere in the house, from your office, from the store, driving down the street. Inkbird makes some really awesome barbecue products, and this one is no exception. Check it out below with the link to Amazon. You can use the code that's listed for $30 off, making it only $70. Check out Inkbird and all their products. Now back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. All right, we're back with Max, and now let's talk about the different barbecue grills that you've seen over the years, and what ones have impressed you the most or the least, because they're all different kinds of styles out there, from like we said, the basic kettle grill to the stick burners to the offsets to the reverse flow, the water smokers. And do you get into reviewing like some of the bigger commercial type stuff that the guys bring into competitions, or is it strictly retail stuff?
Well, we try to cover as much as we can, but yeah, when you get into the really big commercial stuff or the huge offsets, I think most of our readers are interested in residential cooking equipment, and I like to focus on that. But we get something comes our way and it's interesting, we try to address it, and we know that it's important to have. I have a limited number of the big competition rigs and some of the commercial restaurant type stuff, like Southern Pride and Old Hickory and companies of that type that the barbecue restaurants would use. But I pretty much I like getting my hands on stuff that I think it's more likely that somebody that is coming to our website is going to buy. And we do get a lot of competitors, and we get chefs and restaurant people that come to the website, but they're in a minority compared to the people that are just like, hey, I want to get a new gas grill. Mine's falling apart. Amazing Ribs. Oh, I see that they review gas grills. Let me see. So I like to get those type of products in front of people and really get to know them. And when I find something that's inexpensive, because most people really don't even want to spend $1,000 on a grill or smoker, and a lot of people just want to spend $200-300 on a gas grill. That's what they're looking for. So when I find something that's only a few $100 that's pretty good, now that there's going to be a trade-off somewhere there. Most of the stuff that might perform well for a few $100s is not going to last forever and ever. But the reality is, you got somebody who just wants a gas grill to make burgers and all. They're only going to use it a dozen times a year, and they're never going to clean it, and they're just going to cook on it till it gets nasty and falls apart, then buy another one. I call those disposable grills. And that's what some people are looking for. So when I find something like that actually has some decent performance, that gets me all worked up. I get all excited about stuff like that.
Yeah, and I kind of started out that way, just using a little gas grill or a little cheap, $50 from Walmart kettle grill, not a Weber, but a off-brand, cheaply made Chinese import. And I started out that way. And the gas grills, I kind of got sick of them, because after a year you usually got to replace all the guts to it anyway, and they don't last very long, and they're hard to clean. And all that stuff, and you're limited on what you can do with them. But I really love charcoal, so I started expanding on my charcoals by getting a barrel type smokers and stuff like that. So just seems, right now, I mean, just the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 or 7, the different types of smokers and grills that are coming out are just mind blowing, with all the different pellet grills and the metal type Kamados that are trying to replicate what the ceramic Kamados do, and even on the, not just the lower end, but the mid priced and higher end stuff. Just the different kinds of grills and products you have out there is mind blowing. You've been doing this 7 or 8 years now. What have you noticed in that, with all the different changes and stuff?
Oh, well, as I mentioned a little bit ago, I think the biggest change I see is the interest in smoking. and the explosion of Kamados and pellet smokers. Um, and when I first started out, there were still some pretty old-fashioned pellet smoker designs. Now everyone's got digital thermostatic controls. I mean, I don't think anybody's still making. And well, I take that back. There are a few that don't have thermostatic control, but they're not. I don't think they're doing very well. Just for somebody who's not familiar with pellet smokers, which is getting more rare. They used to be a real mystery. None of the big box people had them on their showroom floors. Now, Traeger's really changed that. They're all over the place. When the Weber pellet smoker comes out at the beginning of next year, that they're going to be everywhere too. People are starting to understand what they do and why they're so great. They're basically like your indoor kitchen oven with smoke. You just set the temperature and it'll run all night long. And you throw brisket on there before you go to bed. A lot of them have Wi-Fi, and you got an app on your cell phone. It'll beep at you and give you alarms. You could change the temperature remotely if you're downtown at your office and something starts cooking faster than you expected. You can drop the temperature to 180 to hold it till you get home. It's just amazing what the availability of so much technology, and that's where we're seeing it mostly in the pellet smoker area. And what we're wondering when we're going to get thermostatic control for gas grills. We've got it on our indoor gas ovens. And I talked to the manufacturers. I know all of them are working on it, and I've come to the conclusion that if it could be done dependably and cost effectively, it would be done. The big players and others are all trying to make it happen, and they just, for whatever reason, I'm not an engineer, for whatever reason, they haven't been able to come up with the magic formula yet. Although Masterbuilt just about a year ago introduced a thermostatically controlled gas smoker, which is certainly a step in the right direction, and I like that one quite a bit. We made sure our readers understood about it. It's only about $350 too, so that's an affordable product, and it works really great.
Well, and you can even do that now with the advancements in the charcoal grills and smokers with the fireboards and all that. You can get those digital controllers, and a lot of them are Wi-Fi. I know, like with Kamado Joe, they have the iCommand, they call it, and that's, you can run it from your phone, to control your Kamado Joe.
Absolutely. So and the Barbecue Guru kind of was a forerunner with that. Those have been around several years, and they work great too. I mean, they work best with decent equipment. And what I mean by decent, it can be a $150, $100 Weber kettle. That's fine. The controller might cost more than the kettle, but I think they work really great. And again, it makes it easier. You can set the temperature; it'll stay there as long as you have your fire right. And there's no babysitting. Just enjoy your delicious pulled pork and brisket, perfectly smoked. It's good stuff. Asked one device product came up, and I'm surprised more people haven't discovered this, particularly competitors. It's called the Karubacue. And I remember when I got it, the design is mind-boggling, and they've won design awards, and they've gotten a lot of press about it. But this was several years ago when it came out, and I know they're selling more of them because we kind of feature them because they're so unique. And let me try to just describe it. But yeah, people should go to AmazingRibs.com and look up Karubacue, K-A-R-U-B-E-C-U-E, I think, if I'm spelling it right. It's a cabinet smoker, and by that I mean it's like an upright vertical stainless steel cabinet with racks that slide in and out inside and a door on the front. But instead of the fire being inside or offset off to a side, like an offset smoker, there's a firebox on top, and it has a thermostat inside and a convection fan. And what happens, and it has another suction fan. The convection fan blows into the cabinet and circulates heat and smoke, but there's a suction fan that's activated by the thermostat. So you build a wood fire on the top of this thing, and when the thermostat senses that your temperature has dropped below where you set it, it starts sucking air, and the air comes from the top. It sucks air right through the burning wood into the cabinet and supplies the heat and smoke that way. Now, what that does, if anybody who has any familiarity with cooking with wood, stick burning, that is the big challenge, because wood will burn clean at a hot temperature. Like a hot fire will burn clean. But if you're smoking, you want the temperature down low, around 225. Some people are cooking what's called hot and fast in higher temperatures. But the bottom line is, you don't want a real hot fire. If it gets too hot, you're not going to be able to get that melted, delicious, buttery pulled pork and ribs and all. It's just going to cook it like it's a steak or something. It needs to go long at a low temperature so that those connective tissues just melt. And that's one of the things that makes it so delicious. And the smoke is an added benefit. But when you keep a wood fire, if you have to choke it down, you have to deprive it of air to keep the temperature down, you oftentimes get the wood smoldering. And that's when you get that black, bitter, nasty creosote all over your meat and the inside of your smoker. With the Karubikyu, since it sucks the air in from right through the red hot burning wood, all of that impurities in the smoke burn up as they're coming through those red hot embers. So when the smoke that gets into the cabinet is pure and clean, it's as good as any of the greatest pit masters in the history of barbecue could possibly make. When I started working with it, I called Meathead and I said, "You got to get over here. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I pull meat out from this thing, and it's like perfume. It's so fantastic, and all of my family is just bowing down to me, going, 'Oh my God, this is the best barbecue we've ever tasted in our lives.'" And by then, they were getting spoiled, because I'd been working with AmazingRibs.com for a few years. So Meathead comes up with his sous chef, Ryan, and they were just at a big competition just a few days before that, and they just concurred 100% with me. They said, "This meat is perfect. This is incredible." And then, of course, Meathead stole my Karubikyu, and he's still got it now. So,
yeah, I actually saw that on one of his videos when he was like walking around his backyard showing all the different cookers that he had. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's an amazing device, and it's about $1,500. But I'll tell you, it's pretty good capacity too. I think it has 4 or 5 racks in it. Wow! All I can say is wow. The smoke quality, the aroma and flavor is just unbelievable.
So I'm sure you've seen some really great smokers and some really bad ones over the years. So what's like the worst one you've ever seen?
I don't want to name names. I'm trying to think.
Just look through the reviews and we can tell, right?
Yeah. I mean, now we have all our reviews are searchable. There's search boxes. So you can search by type, I want a grill, I want a smoker, I want a pizza oven, I want a Kamado, that type of thing. And then fuel, I want charcoal, I want wood, I want gas, price. That's, people always ask me, "Max, what's the best grill? What's the best smoker for me?" And I say, I can't really answer that. Everybody has a different desire. But the first thing I will tell you to ask yourself is, what do you want to spend and how big do you want to go? And that's a good starting point. I think the price is a big thing.
Well, yeah, and like you said before, there's some people that just want to grill burgers and hot dogs and sausages, and some people that want to smoke and do lots of other stuff. So yeah, you definitely got to know what you want to use it for before you start looking.
And one of our rows of search boxes is our ratings. So our ratings are top of the line is platinum, then gold medal, then silver, bronze. Then there's unrated. Sometimes we still will review a product that we haven't tested yet, just because it's for whatever reason we think we want to get the word out on it. And then the last one is we don't recommend this. So, if people want to look, if they want to find the ones we don't recommend, they could just go to that search field and pull it up. But yeah, I mean, to some extent, you get what you pay for. Like we keep talking about Weber, and I don't. What can I say? They're everywhere. They're very popular. And they're popular for a reason. I know that they've changed in many ways, and most of their stuff is being made in China now. Except for the kettles, I think, and the Summit series is still made here, to the best of my knowledge. But they keep the quality up. Their customer service is top notch. They take care of their customers. They do so many things right, and their prices are a little higher than some of the other players in the big box arena. But they will last longer, particularly if you take care of them. The performance is good. If you want something that is well made with good customer support, look at brands like Weber. And Char-Broil does some interesting stuff. You had mentioned earlier, some people say, oh, well, if you buy my grill, your meat's going to be juicy and it's going to be wonderful. Char-Broil's what they were calling true infrared. I guess they still call it that. It's a kind of very interesting design. And they make stuff that's relatively inexpensive. I won't say it's the cheapest, but it's not as expensive as Weber, just to give you some kind of reference point. But this true infrared system is pretty interesting, and it works as advertised. They say it's the most forgiving grill in the world. Now, I don't know that you could say that, but it is very forgiving, and here's why. Hot air is convection heat. When you have a gas grill, you have a couple different types of heat. You do have some radiant heat coming from the flame itself, but what the flame does is it really heats up the air and circulates under the hood. That's convection. That will dry meats out. And then you have conduction heat from the grates, or the metal against the meat. That's conduction heat. Their true infrared system is basically relatively low powered burners with a metal sheet the grate sets right on the metal sheet. So it's not like a heat tent, and it's solid with tiny little holes that allow some combustion gas to come through. And most of the heat is conduction and radiant heat coming from that metal sheet that's right like 3/8 of an inch or half an inch beneath the cook surface itself. And I won't say you can't dry foods out on it, but it is truly very forgiving. There's no flare up. So although once again, you can burn stuff because they can get pretty hot, but if you're easily distracted and you just want something that doesn't cost a heck of a lot, that will be very forgiving, and that you don't have to, if you're not the type of person that really has that sixth sense, that internal clock, or isn't real disciplined, it's not a bad idea to look at those true infrared systems. They make a wide range of products with that system. Not all of their gas grills use it, but many of them do, and it's a nice setup.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, are looking for ease of use. So, that's kind of what that tells me. It's really easy for a novice to use. And I think that's why pellet grills have grown so quick, so fast. And, people love them because they're kind of sick of the gas grills. They want to be able to do some, smoke and get that barbecuey flavor, but without having to mess with charcoal and trying to figure it out, how much wood to add. Pellet grills are, like you said, like an indoor oven. You just crank it up and go. So I think that's another thing that makes them grow a lot more, so people can feel a lot more comfortable running a pellet smoker than they do, a offset or even a Weber kettle
Oh, yeah,
sometimes. So
there's really, I can't think of anything that's easier to use than a pellet smoker. And I mean, you have to do some maintenance on it, or it just won't. It plain won't work. It won't be like, well, I haven't cleaned my gas grill all year and it's flaring up and it's nasty, but it still cooks my hamburgers. You do have to clean the ash out occasionally, or it just will shut down.
yeah.
I had one recently where the person who will remain nameless here, Darren, had not cleaned their pellet smoker out, and we were trying to use it, and suddenly it just started. These clouds of nasty smoke started billowing out of it, and it went. Yeah, it burped. I've never had that happen with a pellet smoker. It sort of happens with Kamados. I've never had it with a Kamado, but I understand it can happen, and it's something you worry. Where if you lift the lid up, suddenly you've hit the fire with a lot of oxygen, and it goes poof. It's like a little explosion in there. And that's what happened with this thing. And I mean, it looked like somebody had thrown a hand grenade in and shut the lid on it. All this smoke's pouring out of it. And when it cooled off, sure enough, I took all the grill and the drip plate off, and it was just a blanket of ash at the bottom. And I chastised the person who was responsible.
Unbelievable. Well, that's a great resource. So guys, check out AmazingRibs.com and check out all the different ratings, especially for the holiday season. If you're looking to purchase a grill for a significant other, or if you are a significant other, you're shopping and want to tell somebody what to purchase for you, check out all of Max's hard work and reviewing those grills at AmazingRibs.com.
I'd like to mention too, Darren, that we do have a gift guide, and it's broken down into price ranges. So if you are looking for gifts, find it. You see pretty easy when you get to AmazingRibs.com. You'll see all kinds of directions, particularly on the right side. On a desktop or laptop, if you're going mobile, which well over half of our visitors are going mobile these days, then you're going to scroll around up and down a little bit more. But you'll find our gift guides, and you can find the price range you're looking for. If you just want a gift for somebody at the office, as opposed to somebody that's more significant in your life that you're going to spend a little more on, take advantage of that. And I'm sorry, you were about to say, Darren?
I was going to say, we're going to walk right into talking about something that's closer to your heart. You own your own barbecue sauce company, from what I heard. You mentioned it at the beginning, right, that you kind of started out. That's how you started out, was with your own barbecue sauce company. And you had that before you started with AmazingRibs.com. So let's talk about how you got started making your own barbecue sauce.
And that's Black Swan Gourmet Barbecue Sauce. And you can go to our website, which is blackswancompany.com.
I'm going to list that in the description of the podcast as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I just like to cook, and like to barbecue. And I used to make my own barbecue sauce on the stovetop, and again, a lot of friends and family. Oh, your sauce is the best barbecue sauce I've ever tasted. And for many years, I was in sales, and I'm trying to schmooze prospects and get them to buy from me. And of course, everybody likes to barbecue, so I'm trying to leverage everything I can to get new clients. Oh, you like barbecue? Well, I'll make you a jar of my barbecue sauce. People really like it. Check it out. So I was making it in ball jars. I'm just making it in a big pot on top of my stove. And I'd go back to somebody I'm trying to get them to reel them in, get a new customer for myself. And they're going, well, nah, Max, I'm just going to switch. I'm not going to switch my supplier at this point in time. But I'll tell you what, I think you're selling the wrong thing. If you were selling that sauce, I'd be buying it from you. And I heard that once too often, Darren. So I finally started looking into it. And somehow I thought I would have to buy some kind of contraption and make it in my garage or my basement or something. And I was happy to find that that's not the way it's done, that most people that want to manufacture food products of that nature there are companies that will do it for you with your recipe and your label and the whole bit. And I found a reputable co-packer, as they're known, here in the Chicago area, and we've been with them from the beginning. And I just we've actually it's still a very small business, just my wife and I. My son, who's 23 now, he's become quite a chef, and he helps out a little bit with it. But we're pretty small, but we get around. We actually export the stuff. I got a distributor in Costa Rica. We got one in Canada and Indonesia, and I just sent some stuff to Saudi Arabia. I'm told this guy is buying up everything he can get his hands on, so I hope he buys my Black Swan gourmet barbecue sauce. We're in a limited number of stores in the Chicago area. We have a distributor called Fortune Fish and Gourmet. People go, Fortune Fish? What does that have to do with barbecue? But the key is gourmet. They're high-end. They have beautiful cheeses and meats and what have you. And, they do a great job. But we're trying to get more. We're actually doing in many ways better with our exports than here domestically. And I am in process. Hopefully soon, you'll be able to get our Black Swan barbecue sauce on Amazon. Meanwhile, if you're not in the Chicago area, if you are in the Chicago area, we're in some of the Whole Foods, Pete's, Heinen's, small butcher shops, but you can get it online even now from the Kansas City Barbecue store. If you go to their website or go to blackswancompany.com, you'll see a tab that says where to buy, and it'll take you to the Kansas City Barbecue store site, and you could purchase it there. I got to warn you, it's best if you know you're going to buy some other stuff, because once you reach a threshold, shipping's free. If you just want to buy one bottle of sauce, the shipping's going to cost more than the sauce. So that's a deterrent. That's what we're trying to get the thing going with Amazon. So hopefully that'll happen soon.
Well, that sounds great, Max. And I want to thank you and make sure everybody checks it out. Check out AmazingRibs.com, all of Max's hard work on doing the reviews, and check out the gift ideas that they have on there as well. And check out Black Swan Gourmet Barbecue Sauces. And I'll have a link below to Max's website for that. Thanks again, Max. I hope to have you on again. We can talk more about grills and smokers. And I hope you had a good time.
Thank you for inviting me, and I welcome the opportunity to chat with you and your listeners again.
And I think everybody should get some great information out of it, especially when they get to looking at some of the reviews that you got on there. So I know I do. Whenever I got a question about a grill, I go to AmazingRibs.com, and I look forward to looking at your reviews as well. So thanks again for joining me. Anything else you want to say?
Well, holidays are coming up, my favorite time of year, so I'm already getting riled up. I was at Costco today, and they had the Christmas trees and Christmas music out. I'm buying steaks because I got an interesting gasser. Next time we talk, we'll have to talk about it. It's called Furno, and this is an expensive one. I think it's about $5,000, but it's got adjustable height burners on it, and it has this big crank on the front that raises and lowers the burners. So I'm curious about that. And I have a surprise that I'll tell you about when we're off the air, Darren. That might be a good topic for one of your upcoming shows.
Great. Well, thanks for joining me again, Max, and make sure you join us again on the next episode of the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. Well, thanks again for joining us, guys. I appreciate Max Good from AmazingRibs.com for being on. Make sure you check out the links below to Amazing Ribs and to Max's barbecue sauce. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out the Fire and Water Cooking YouTube channel. And also, stay tuned for the next Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'll see you again. Thanks, guys.